Hi everybody, welcome back to the next video in our AI for Reading series. In this video, we'll build on what we covered in part 1 by taking a look at how ChatGPT can help us to, number 1, highlight key points, and number 2, to test and reinforce our understanding. So let's switch over now to ChatGPT and see it all in action. So I have ChatGPT open here. And what I want to do first of all, before we do anything else, is to remind ourselves of the scenario that we had in part 1 of the video, because we are continuing on from that. So the scenario was, imagine this. You work for a small to medium-sized business and your team has an important meeting coming up to discuss a new policy statement that's just been publicly published. For this example, let's say it's the local enterprise office's policy statement, and it's for the period of 2024 to 2030. With only a few days to prepare, you need to quickly read through the document, understand its contents, highlight the key takeaways, and be ready to respond to any questions that might come up. Okay, so now I want us to continue on from where we left off in the last video. One of the things we did in the last video was to get ChatGPT to give us a brief overview of the policy. And this was really just to get that high-level understanding. However, say you want more than just an overview of the policy. You want to get into the finer details, for example, but you still don't have enough time to read all 52 pages of the policy. So in an example like this, we can ask ChatGPT to outline the main points and key takeaways in detail. So let's insert the following prompt. Provide a thorough summary of the key points in this policy. And let's press enter. And it might maybe take a moment or two because it is quite a long document. It's about 52 pages long. So sometimes it can take ChatGPT a little bit of time to make its way through it and generate those answers. And here we have the comprehensive summary of the key points from the local enterprise office's policy statement. So as we can see here, this is definitely a more thorough overview of the document. It goes into a lot more detail than the brief summary that we had previously. So we have the main topics here, and then we have our subtopics underneath, and then it goes into further detail. So also here, here we have a lot more detail on these 4 pillars of engagement than we would have previously had. Then if we move down, we have the strategic priorities aligned with the white paper on enterprise. So again, decarbonisation and sustainability. Again, we have quite a number of bullet points which elaborate on this key area here. We didn't have this in the previous overview. And here we have some more statistics, which will be really helpful, especially if we're being asked particular questions. And then it continues on down. We have the extended remit and track record. So again, we've got some more useful statistics that we could refer to in the meeting. So that is a more thorough overview. So if there's a particular area, maybe it's innovation in small businesses and you want maybe even more detail on that, you could ask ChatGPT to provide it for you. Okay, and then if we take a look here at this quick takeaway, It's saying here, if you'd like, I can also help draft key questions or discussion prompts tailored to this framework. Just let me know. Okay, so I think that could actually be very useful. So let's say yes to that question. So yes, please draft key questions and discussion prompts tailored to this framework. And press enter. And let's just see what it comes up with. We don't have to use any of these, but it might be useful. It's always useful going into a meeting to have questions prepared in advance. And it's given us this set of targeted questions and prompts that we can bring to the meeting. And we'll see here that they are grouped by the main areas of the LEO policy statement. So these are the examples of the questions here, and we can use these questions as a starting point to generate discussion. So in a way, we can actually, contribute to the flow and the direction of the meeting by having these questions prepared in advance. Okay, so now that we have looked at how we can get ChatGPT to elaborate on key points and create that comprehensive summary, I now want to make sure that we are prepared for any questions or discussion points that might come up during the meeting. So, how do I do that? So I can ask ChatGPT to test our understanding of the policy statement. So to do this, we could use a prompt like this. So what are some of the questions I might be asked about in this policy? And let's press enter. So here we have a list of different questions that we could be potentially asked during the meeting, and they're each grouped under headings like this. So we can actually test our understanding by trying to answer these questions now, before we go into the meeting. If we feel that we can't answer these questions or we don't have enough detail, we can actually use ChatGPT. We can get it to answer the question for us and provide that more elaborate detail. So say, for instance, we're not really sure about this question. So we can type it into ChatGPT and we can let it create the answer for us. So, how will LEOs help achieve the target of 90% SMEs reaching basic digital intensity by 2030? Let's see how it answers it. Okay, excellent. And here we have a plan. We have a plan of how LEOs are going to reach that 90% basic digital intensity. So these are all the key approaches here. So we can go back to any of these questions here and do the same thing that we did with that previous question and actually ask ChatGPT to create the answer for us. By preparing thoughtful responses in advance of the meeting, it means now that we are going to feel more confident going into the meeting and we're going to feel ready to contribute at our best. So that is the second half of our video on AI for reading. So now that you've seen how ChatGPT can help with reading and understanding complex text, I do hope that you feel more confident and empowered to start using it yourself in the workplace. Thank you for watching, and you can check out more videos on www.adultdyslexiahub.ie.